am back with Mental Health Chats, and I am really excited because I've got Andrew Flaxman with me today, and Andrew and I have done some work together in the past. So hello, Andrew, how are you?
Morning, Claire. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And what we're talking about on Mental Health Chats today is all about retaining top talent and securing your intellectual property. So first of all, whereabouts are you based, Andrew? Just tell everyone.
So I'm currently based in our Bristol office. HLK, we've got several offices around the country. I'm based in the Bristol office now. Sunny Bristol this morning, which is nice.
Yes, it is nice when the sun is shining in Bristol. So tell us a little bit about what you do, first of all, Andrew.
Okay, so I'm a patent attorney at HLK. I'm a partner in our tech team. Now, I've got a physics background, which means that I help to protect intellectual property, inventions, and things that are created in businesses that specialize in physics or software or computing, medical devices, artificial intelligence, that kind of thing. And so as a patent attorney, we focus on inventions, so the technical aspects of creativity, and we help people get those patents granted, which they can then use to stop other people from copying their ideas and innovation.
Wow. Gosh, that's a whole different world for a lot of people who are listening out there. And this is why I've actually invited you on to today's episode. The reason is it's all about intellectual property and protecting our intellectual property. And we can do that in one way by actually retaining our stuff. So can you first of all explain what is intellectual property? What does it mean?
Sure. Yeah, it's so intellectual property or IP. It's the umbrella term for a bundle of rights that result from creativity of a person or of a business. I think most people are familiar with trademarks. You know, that trademark, the TM that people use in branding, and trademarks are used to protect aspects of branding, so company names, product names, logos, slogans, those kind of things. Patents, which is where I specialize, they're, as I said, used to protect inventions and technical aspects. There's also design protection, which is used to protect aesthetics and the way things look. Then copyright, most people are familiar with. That's sort of protects literary and artistic works. But then there's also sort of the lesser known areas of trade secrets and know-how, which sort of protect knowledge and expertise and experience that is also a form of intellectual property, but probably less well known.
Right. Very interesting. So let's think about staff retention. The REC has recently put out a survey, and it said that the research said that it can cost an organization 2.5 times someone's salary to replace them than actually to retain them. So what I'm intrigued about with regards to intellectual property, what are the risks to an organization if they have got high staff turnover on their intellectual property? You've just named loads of different aspects of intellectual property there.
Yeah, so I guess the risks involved are primarily a loss of knowledge. So with people comes knowledge, experience, expertise, and know-how. You know, mentioned know-how as a form of IP, and people have this knowledge. So if people are going to leave a business, then the business loses not only that person, but also all that knowledge and expertise and experience. So when people leave, that's a big chunk of their business and the intellectual business that goes with it. And when people join a business, it takes some time to get up to speed. So I guess if you're working in a team of engineers and one of your team leaves to move somewhere else, you need to recruit to replace them. And it can take time to get that person up to speed, to learn the ropes, to understand the business, and that can slow down innovation. So it can cause a slow up in business and development and innovation, and can slow down the rate at which their intellectual property is created. Now, some businesses rely on creating IP, on patents, and that's their business model. And if they have to slow down that, then that can be a real problem for them.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
guess other areas are there's a risk of confidential information being taken. So if somebody leaves, it's rare, but it does happen that somebody might leave on bad terms, and they might take some confidential information, some ideas, some data with them.
Mm.
Now, a lot of people believe that, if they come up with an idea within a business, then that idea is theirs, and
Yeah.
it's known that people will leave and move to a competitor and say, hey, I've got this idea I came up with in my last
Yeah.
place, let's develop it. But actually, most contracts of employment say that, any IP, any ideas that are generated belong to the business. So when people leave and take those ideas with them, it can be a real problem for the business, and that can lead to expensive legal, contractual
Yeah.
disputes and things.
That's a really interesting aspect, actually. That, that was my idea. I came up with that idea. Why can't I take that somewhere else? Have you ever seen that as a problem in any of the organizations you've worked with?
Sure. I mean, it happens a lot with not even intentionally. People, I
Mm.
guess, don't realize that what they've developed is intellectual property. The ideas they've had at one business is actually something that's owned by that business. And so when they move to a new business and they say, hey, I've got this idea, let's create something. If it's a competitor's business, and they come up with an idea and it gets patented, then they can be,
Yeah.
it's effectively stealing some information, some data from one business and passing it over to another business. And we do see it, and it leads to some interesting disputes and intellectual property and contractual disputes and agreements.
I hadn't thought of it from that angle. That is so, so interesting. So really, we need to retain our staff, because then we don't have the headache of them taking their ideas, which are now the company's intellectual property. So that brings me to mind of a client that I actually coached recently, and what they said was they were so intrigued by the coaching of how it helped with their company culture. And that's what the aim of the coaching was, but they weren't aware how it would impact their staff retention and keep more of their staff retained. So, what are the benefits of actually retaining your staff and then keeping your intellectual property on board?
I think, I mean, going back to the knowledge thing, if you keep
Mm.
staff that have worked there for 10, 15, 20 years, they have developed so much experience of your business. They know how it works inside and out. They know the products, if it's a product generation business. They know how the systems work. So if you can keep hold of that, it's a massive benefit. It's an asset to your business. And as I said, if you lose that, it takes a long time to build up that same experience in somebody who's new. And if you lose that experience and knowledge goes straight to one of your competitors in lots of cases. And so you suddenly, not only do you lose it, but your competitor gains it.
Mm.
So retaining that member of staff and that knowledge and expertise is a huge benefit. Some clients we work with have teams of engineers who, I've seen again and again, and they've developed hundreds and hundreds of ideas and got their names on hundreds of patents. They're massive experts in their field, and they're known throughout the world for what they do. And they're constantly coming up with products, improvements to their products and things that end up getting patented. And it's those people who are essential to that business, because certain businesses, they rely on getting patents granted for licensing fees, for it's part of their business model. So if they can retain those people, that's sort of just generating that IP for them.
Yeah.
It's managing those people just to do their job and create the IP and keep it going.
And it also will mean that you don't have, like you mentioned earlier, the stress, the frustration, the anxiety of having any legal suits, any problems if people go away and then take their ideas. as well.
Absolutely. Contractual disputes,
Mm,
patent disputes, trademark disputes, infringement, all those, anything where you get lawyers involved, it's not cheap. So,
yeah.
to avoid that where possible is definitely advisable. But if it does happen, it can be difficult to prove, well, did this person actually come up with those ideas while they were at our business, or did they come up with them independently or at this second business? And I guess that's another point is keeping clear records is really important. So
Mm,
staff, if they can come up with ideas and then document it, record the date on which they've come up with ideas, written software code, develop drawings and things. Keep records of those. If you're a business owner or a CEO, make sure that people know to record all that information so that if ever you do need to go to court
yeah.
or sort of look into this, you've got
Yeah.
records.
And it's also the stress of going to court. It's not just, the monetary value of it, it's the stress and the impact, and that can lead to burnout and you know, so on and so forth, and absenteeism, etc. Wow, Andy, that's a lot to think about. I love the whole world of intellectual property and trademarks. It's sort of I think it's an area of law that a lot of people don't think about unless they have to sort of be involved in it. So you've been so interesting and given us so many insights. So thank you very much. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to reach out to you. So where can people find you?
Well, Bristol in person,
Yay!
sunny Bristol today.
We love
Um,
Bristol.
and if you're not in Bristol, then online, our website is hlk-ip.com, or search for me on LinkedIn, Andrew Flaxman, and or HLK. You can find me there on LinkedIn.
Lovely. You have been wonderful in explaining that and explaining it to people who don't really understand the concept. So thank you so much, Andy, for your
Thanks, Claire.
advice and your insights, and take care.
Thanks, Claire. It's been a pleasure.